Welcome back to the 604 Garage. Today we're going to look at headlight restoration kits. Do they actually work? Let's find out. All right, and here's a product I'm going to use. It's a 3M Auto Advance headlight restoration system. Now I chose 3M because I'm familiar with their products and they work well for me, but I'm sure there's a lot of different alternatives out there from other manufacturers. So if you look at the back here, there's a description of what's in the box. There's a disc holder which goes in your cordless drill. There's 6 gold sanding pads. There's 4 white finishing discs and the 3M Trizad gray refinishing disc and the rubbing compound. So essentially what you're doing in the end of the day is sanding down the surface of the headlight, getting rid of all the imperfections, the scratches, going through a number of different sanding phases to bring the headlight back to a near factory finish on there. And then you're polishing that out to create a clear and yellow-free looking headlight. So we're going to try this out. All right, and here's our test vehicle. It's our 2007 Chevy Avalanche, and as you can see, the headlights are extremely cloudy and extremely yellow looking in color. And what we're going to attempt to do is bring those back to life and test out if these restoration kits actually work. And here's everything out of the box. So of course, going through all the different media and different grit sizes, we have a 500 grit here. This is the initial step. Then we move up to an 800 grit. Then we finish that off with a 3000 grit. Of course, these all hook sort of Velcro onto the back of our disc holder, which goes in our drill. Then we have our buffing disc, which also Velcros on like that, which we put our rubbing or buffing compound here, which is our final step. So first step we have to do is clean that dirty headlight. So we're going to do that with some dish soap to make sure we get everything off, including any wax or any sort of tar or any grease on there. Dish soap works really well, so that's our first step. Got our bucket of dish soap and water, and we are going to clean this headlight. Rinse it and then dry it. And then move on to step 2. Now we'll take our hose and we'll just rinse a little bit. Get rid of all the extra soap. Yes, we're doing this in the garage, but it's not a ton of water because we're only doing one at a time. All right, and just to give you an idea how bad this headlight is before we start. Now this has been cleaned and dried, and take a look at all the cloudiness, all the yellowing. Absolutely brutal looking headlight. So we're going to see if this 3M restoration kit actually improves the look of this headlight. So I've got nothing to lose here because I was going to replace them in the first place, but I thought, you know what, for 40 bucks, whatever the price of a kit is, might as well give it a shot. All right, well the next step for the kit's instructions, and I think a good idea, is to protect the paint as you're going to be going in with some abrasive pads or some sanding discs. So you want to mask off the paint around the headlight, and we're going to do that with some basic green painter's tape. All right, well I've got my painter's tape now around the headlight here. I've got a couple layers on because I do not want to burn through it with the sanding discs. Next step is we're going to start sanding down the headlight. Okay, and as per the instructions, we use the P500 gold sanding disc, which is a 500 grit first. We simply stick that to the Velcro and go to town. So here we go. So you want a light pressure, we want to be moving the disc, we don't want to be leaving it in one spot. And as you can see, it's taking off a lot of material, it looks like right now. What you're left with now is a very, very cloudy headlight, but we're going to end up wiping this down and moving on to the next grit, which would be 800. Okay, now time for the 800 grit. Okay, so here's a look at the headlight after the 800 grit. I can see that it's really cloudy still in the top or upper portion of the headlight, so that actually might be inside the headlight itself, because that is not changing at all. But the rest of it looks promising so far. It's definitely not clear, but we still have a few steps to go to polish that out. Alright, the next step is to install our P3000 gray final sand pad. And this gray pad is a wet sanding pad, so we need to have a little spray bottle handy and spray down the headlight like such. Get a little water on the pad and want to keep everything lubricated here while we do our final sand. This is a 3000 grit. Alright, well here we are after the 3000 grit wet sand, and it's starting to look a little bit better. It's actually looking similar to where we started, but we have yet to do the polish. So we're going to do the polish next. Alright, on to the final step now. We want to add this 3M rubbing compound to this buffing disc, and we're going to buff that headlight and see how clear it gets. So they say to add a dime-sized dollop in the middle, hold it flat to the headlight, and start polishing. There's our dime-sized dollop. A little rub around so it doesn't splatter, and start polishing. So let's buff this off. See what it looks like. Still cloudy on the top, but that's got to be inside the headlight. These may just be the worst headlights on YouTube. Okay, so here we are looking at the after, and of course my halogen light that I'm using to sort of backlight this is very yellow in itself, but let's switch to the GoPro and get a close-up view of what this looks like. Alright, here we are with the GoPro close-up, and this is after our final polish and after we buffed it out, and I'd say for sure we've increased the clarity of our headlights. Of course, skipping through here, that area above is still cloudy, but that's got to be inside the headlight. So these were really, really bad headlights, guys. These things probably should have been replaced, but I wanted to see how this would go. Now, if I move our yellow halogen light, so here we are, yellow halogen lights out of the way, and that's not too bad. It's not too bad. Yeah, foggy on the top still. The rest of it, not too bad. Let's look at the other side. The other side, definitely not as crisp, definitely not as clear than the one we just did. Pretty shiny, I'd say. Just look at this one. I can't wait to get all those scratches out, buff them out, sand them out, and do this one next. Okay, and from this perspective, just sitting in the driveway now, the one on the left, a lot clearer than the one on the right. Look at how bad that looks. And how much better that looks. Not perfect, but I'll take it. Alright, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see ya in the next one.